We all know the trial of Jesus. We know the nails, the crown of thorns, and the final sacrifice on Calvary. But there is one detail that history books often forget, and that the Gospels mention with a chilling detachment. As Jesus was climbing Calvary, there was another man on the authorities' blacklist, a man who had to disappear at any cost before sunset that Friday. His name was Lazarus. Why had the Sanhedrin ordered the death of a man who had just come back to life? What secret did Lazarus carry that made his very existence a greater threat than the preaching of Jesus himself? Today, we will dig through ancient documents and buried theological truths to uncover the Lazarus file, the living evidence the powerful tried to destroy while the Son of God was dying on the cross. If you think Lazarus' story ends with his resurrection in Bethany, you are greatly mistaken. We need to go back a few days before the crucifixion. In John 12:10, the Gospel records a sentence that should make us jump out of our seats. So, the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well. Pause for a moment. Not only Jesus, Lazarus too. Why? For a reason that was political and, in the eyes of that time, almost scientific. Lazarus was a walking forensic proof. He had remained in the tomb for 4 days. His body had already begun the process of decomposition. When Jesus cried out, "Lazarus, come forth!" he did not simply perform a miracle. He shattered the entire theological structure of the Sadducees, the sect that denied the resurrection of the dead. Lazarus was no longer just a friend of Jesus. He was the living proof that Jesus had power over matter and time. As long as Lazarus was breathing, the priest's narrative was in danger. But here is the mystery. Where was Lazarus while Jesus was being led to Golgotha? Why does his name disappear precisely in the darkest hours? Historical sources and ancient tradition suggest that Jerusalem on that Good Friday was a city under lockdown. Patrols were searching for the followers of Jesus, but Lazarus was public enemy number one. Picture the scene. While the crowd is shouting, "Crucify him," the temple guards are sweeping through the houses of Bethany. According to ancient Greek fragments and Eastern traditions, Lazarus was forced to flee. But he did not flee out of cowardice. Some exegetes suggest that Jesus himself may have told Lazarus to go into hiding. Why? Because the testimony of Lazarus had to survive the cross. If both of them had been killed that day, the enemies of Christ could have claimed it was all a collective hallucination. But a man who returns to life and continues living for decades after the death of his master. That is evidence you cannot bury. There is a profound link between the grave cloths Lazarus left behind in the tomb and the shroud Jesus would leave behind on Sunday morning. A link the priests wanted to sever with blood. There is a psychological aspect we often ignore. What must Lazarus' eyes have looked like on that Good Friday as he watched the hill of sacrifice from afar? St. Augustine and other church fathers reflect on a shocking point. Lazarus was the only man on earth who knew exactly, at a physical level, what Jesus was going through. Lazarus had passed through the veil. He knew the coldness of the tomb. But there is more. There are documented traditions claiming that after his resurrection, Lazarus never smiled again for the rest of his life. Why? Not because of sadness, but because he had seen the reality of the spiritual world and knew that the price of his freedom was the life of his best friend. Good Friday for Lazarus was not only a religious tragedy, it was a blood debt. He was alive because Jesus had chosen to die. Every breath Lazarus drew that Friday was a breath stolen from human justice and granted by divine mercy. But his pursuers were close. Let us talk about evidence. If Lazarus had been only a myth, his story would have ended in Jerusalem. Instead, archaeology tells us something astonishing. There is a second tomb of Lazarus in Larnaca, on the island of Cyprus. Above that tomb is an inscription that reads, "Lazarus, the friend of Christ." Historical documents of the Orthodox Church and medieval chronicles confirm that Lazarus fled Jerusalem during the persecution unleashed after the death of Stephen, though the tension had already begun during that Passover weekend. The authorities wanted to cleanse the city of the witnesses of miracles, but if Lazarus was so important, why did he not intervene to save Jesus? The answer lies in a deep theological truth. Lazarus could not intervene because he was the sign, not the Savior. His silence on Good Friday is the silence of one who knows the sacrifice must be fulfilled. Let us return to the thinking of that time. Why was the Sanhedrin so terrified of Lazarus on that Friday? In Jewish tradition, it was believed that the soul remained near the body for 3 days. By the 4th day, when decomposition was evident, all hope was gone. Lazarus came out on the 4th day. That made Lazarus a biological problem for anyone who wanted to deny the divinity of Christ. Imagine the Roman soldiers beneath the cross. Some of them had surely heard about the man from Bethany. The centurion Longinus, who pierced Jesus' side, may have known that only a few miles away there was a man who had already been on the other side. Good Friday is the clash between two kingdoms. Lazarus is territory conquered by Jesus before the final battle. To kill Lazarus meant for the Sanhedrin attempting to take back that territory, but they could not. Life given by Christ is irreversible. As the sky darkened at 3 in the afternoon, where was Lazarus hiding? Tradition suggests he was with his sisters, Martha and Mary, in a safe place. But imagine the paradox. The man who had conquered death now had to hide for fear of dying again. This teaches us something fundamental about that day. Good Friday is the day when evil seems to win, when even miracles seem to fade into the shadow of the cross. Lazarus, protected in the darkness, represents the early church, persecuted, hidden, but carrying a life the world cannot understand. The enemies thought they had solved the Jesus problem with 3 nails. They thought they would solve the Lazarus problem with a blade, but they did not know they were only accelerating the spread of a fire that would never be extinguished. Here is something few people connect. When Lazarus came out of the tomb, Jesus commanded, "Unbind him and let him go." Lazarus came out wrapped in burial cloths. When Jesus rises, the cloths will still be there, but he will have passed through them. Why does this matter today? Because Good Friday is the moment when Jesus takes the place of Lazarus. Lazarus came out of the grave cloths so that Jesus could enter them. It is a divine exchange. The chief priests had understood this. The resurrection of Lazarus had been the dress rehearsal for Easter. That is why Lazarus had to die that Friday. They wanted to eliminate the witness of the rehearsal in order to make the main event less believable. But history took another turn. Lazarus would live for another 30 years, becoming bishop of Kidion in Cyprus. 30 years of preaching in which every breath he took said to the world, "I was dead, and he called me back. Now he is dead, but you will see what happens in 3 days." We need to understand who the enemies of Lazarus were. The Sadducees were the aristocratic elite. They controlled the temple. For them, religion was order and politics. Lazarus was the supreme disorder. A man who comes back from death does not fear human threats. On this Good Friday, let us reflect on how often we too try to kill the signs of God in our lives because they disturb us. Lazarus disturbs us because he reminds us that we are destined for eternity. The Sanhedrin wanted a comfortable religion made of rituals and without inconvenient miracles. Lazarus was too inconvenient. And you? Are you ready to accept the inconvenient miracle of the cross today? Or would you rather, like Lazarus, that certain signs of God remain buried so your life does not have to change? Good Friday is coming to an end. The body of Jesus is taken down. Lazarus, in the shadow of his flight, knows that his friend is now where he himself had been for 4 days. But there is an infinite difference. Lazarus was pulled out of death. Jesus will enter death in order to destroy it from the inside. The story of the witness they wanted to kill teaches us that truth cannot be suppressed. They can persecute the witnesses, they can try to eliminate the evidence, they can place guards before the tombs, but life always wins. Lazarus fled that Friday not out of fear, but because of mission. His extra life was the wedding gift between humanity and divinity. Today, as we look at the cross, let us remember that we are not spectators of a defeat, but of a perfect plan in which even the Lazarus case serves to tell us, "Do not be afraid, I have overcome the world." If you appreciated this video, I invite you not to remain silent. The Sanhedrin wanted the silence of Lazarus, but we are the voice of that same hope. This channel lives through your faith and your hunger for truth, and today, in honor of the sacrifice of Christ and the testimony of Lazarus, I would like us to do something different. I would like us to fill the comments with a simple but powerful prayer, one that acknowledges that we too, like Lazarus, have been called back to life by the love of God. Write in the comments, "Lord, thank you because you called me by name and gave me life again." May this Good Friday be for you not a day of mourning, but the day you understand that your death has been defeated forever. May God bless us all